And that there's a reality too. I'm referring to it as energy. Now, I don't know how energy, if you translate that to Arabic, it sounds odd. But there's a reality to this dimension of human existence. And that there's effects that this dimension has upon these other dimensions of people that are around us. Is that right now as we speak, is that there's an outward dimension to our interactions. That I'm moving, you're looking at me, that I'm saying certain things. There's an outward dimension to it. But there's an internal dimension taking place as well. That my intentions in being here right now. Why am I here right now? Right? If I'm here for the wrong reasons, is that it very well could be that you all get a limited benefit to things that I'm saying. If I'm not acting upon the reality of what I'm saying right now, it very well might be that there's not a lot of barakah and blessing in anything that I'm saying. Is that this internal dimension is real. That if I'm holding grudges in my heart for certain people, then it very well may be that barakah and blessing is blocked because of that. But if the opposite is true, and we ask Allah Ta'ala for that to be the case, is that we're sincerely here for His sake only subhanahu wa ta'ala, in hopes of seeking His contentment tabaraka wa ta'ala, in hopes of receiving a nadar upon His wajhil kareem, a gaze upon His noble countenance, and because He's commanded us to do this, not wanting any that hudud whatsoever, that any portions that relate to the dunya or pertain to the akhirah, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ, that we are only feeding you that for the noble countenance of Allah, لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا, that we do not want any recompense or any thanks for this. If this is our intention, that we hope that there will be blessing in some of this. And that this is why, that subhanAllah, that there was people that the likes of Dr. Fuad had met, and that were his teachers' teachers. The great teacher of that Habib Ahmed Mashur al-Haddad, Habib Umar bin Ahmed bin Abi Bakr bin Sumait, who was buried in the Comoros Islands, is that he used to speak only very rarely. He would rarely ever speak. And that when he would teach, primarily people would come and read with him, and he would rarely ever even comment on anything that was studied with him. That was just his way of teaching. And the reality of those books would be embodied in the people that read those books with him, without him saying anything. It's just his presence and reading it with him that allowed that to take place. And when we were in Tarim, for instance, this was very hard for Westerners to understand. Is that I remember even some of the Westerners who, thought too much about things. When you're dealing with a tradition that has been around, my God, for 1,000+ years, that's time tested and proven, and has created thousands upon thousands of the elect of the awliya from the ummah of our Prophet ﷺ. And for you to kind of come in with your mentality and to critique their way of disseminating the science of tasawwuf, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Like, what is wrong with you? Just submit and understand that their way, if it doesn't suit you, go somewhere else. But don't try to come in and see what you impose your worldview on what is a time-tested and proven model. That the way that they study tasawwuf, that oftentimes it's a living reality taken from the heart of the sheikh to the student. But the formal way is that they sit after Asr, what is known as the roha. And this is the tasawwuf class of the day. And that different students will read from different books. And so that if you sit there long enough, and you sit in the classes for 3 or 4 years, is that you would have studied almost completely that a wide variety of books, such that it would be hard to read a book of tasawwuf, that whatever that book might be, even if you haven't read that particular book, except you would understand conceptually what was being discussed because you heard it discussed in some other context. So if you would have been patient, you would have gotten everything that you were looking for. But oftentimes what happens is that the student will read a page or up to 2 or 3 pages, and then the sheikh will only comment on a few things. And then the sheikh only comments on a few things and then moves on. And someone might have wanted that line by line explanation of the text, but they don't realize is that what the sheikh was commenting on was what needed to be commented on. And everything else needs to be left for now, and you revisit it later. But someone who just feels that urge, no, I have to understand everything now, here, then, that I've seen people that actually have distanced themselves, said, I can't learn tasawwuf like that. SubhanAllah, miskeen. Right? There are ways that different people do these things.